I saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles yesterday, and I will say the movie was amazing. Love the movie. I'm not going to spoil if you're listening, just because I know if I'm going to see a movie, I just turn off the volume if I don't want it spoiled. I'll have to wait a while. I'm not going to spoil Isom either. We got about a quarter of the way through so far. We're just going to do it in like episodes. Outstanding so far. It's early, but we already got through fight scene and stuff, and really well laid out. And the book just feels, gosh, that somebody cares about their book, man. The book feels great. But let me share my screen here. As far as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, great, man. I really liked the movie. Just saw it, no spoilers. It was well done, so well done. And I was thinking to myself, would I say that I would recommend? I can't. Here's my thing. I can't recommend other people see it. I can just tell you, if this, then that. The only piece of wokeness in the movie wasn't even the weight. The weight of April actually made sense, and I don't know if I want to spoil. That's not really a spoiler. The weight of April made sense, so I don't even. The weight isn't even an issue for me anymore. It's actually a dope part of the story. The only issue would be like the look of April, the darker skin, and the I don't know, the non-binary-ish look. And I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with the obviously the darker. I got darker skin. I don't have a problem with that. The problem I have is that you took a character, whether you think April was white or not. I just hate that discussion. I'm not getting into that. It's irrelevant. None of the Aprils looked like this. And the question was, what's your inspiration? So it wasn't even, I hate a black character or whatever, or a fat character or a non-binary character. I did a video on the channel a while back where I showed all the LGBTQ non-binary characters in shows that I actually absolutely love. So it had nothing to do with that. But let me get back to the good parts. Man, the movie was good. Man, the movie was good. And hopefully this isn't a spoiler. I didn't know this, and because I knew I might want to see it, so I didn't dig into it that much. But Ice Cube did the voice for one of the characters, and he was just outstanding, outstanding, and no surprise, it's Cube. Just outstanding voice work by Ice Cube. I can't praise it enough. It was so cool that I wanted his character to get more. His character got good screen time, but like from the first start when they introduced his character, it was cool from the start. And they had all these little references in there for my wife and I of that age, and then all the music. It was an homage. They paid homage to the 90s. They paid homage to my upbringing of entertainment. I absolutely loved the movie. It paid homage to the essence of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The essence of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were, part of the essence is they are ninjas. So they always had to be out of sight, out of mind, always hidden. And they paid homage to that. There was always that debate, whether it was Donatello or especially Raphael, or all of them had different curiosity about, I'm just here in the sewers and it's just us. There's a big world out there. I want to see it. I want to experience it. I just outstanding writing, excellent. I think it was better than Super Mario Brothers. And I love Super Mario Brothers, but Super Mario Brothers had some good like meaning to the story, but this was better. And the animation, oh my goodness, the best animation I've ever seen in a movie, bar none, hands down. The best animation I have ever seen in a movie. I don't know who did the animation. I have to research that. I'm not good on that kind of stuff. I will repeat myself. The animation was great. Great, great, great. The animation was better than Batman the Animated Series. Yes, I said that. It was better than going back to the classic X-Men the Animated Series, Justice League and those are, I love that classic animation. Gosh, the drawing was of this world. What did I like about it? Specifically, the shadowing. The number one thing that stands out from the animation for me was one of the biggest things I hate about, if you look at Paw Patrol and even Super Mario Brothers, this, I don't even know what that is, that computer generated, and this one probably was too, but it made it look like hand drawn almost. That computer generated animation style. I love the Isom 2 trailer. That might be like some of my second favorite animation. That just the trailer for Isom 2. This was better than that. It was the lighting, part of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that was not captured well in the classics that I liked, was the dark and light. They were in the sewers. It's dark in the sewers. They were ninjas. They came out at nighttime. So you have to, it's just like Batman. You've got to have that. And that was what Batman the animated series did so well, was the lighting of the light and the dark and the reveal with the shadows and the street lights. Oh, just, I can't praise them enough for that. I cannot praise them enough for that. It was impeccable. It was from the start of the movie. I'm so glad I think I watched the one trailer where they had Can I Kick It? And I didn't even put two and two together that the whole movie would be an homage to 90s, 80s. They had old school De La in there. Man, that felt good. And then they dropped in a little bit of like new school hip hop, which was awesome too, just like as a little bit. I don't want to be too repetitive. Just ask me any questions that you want about it. Animation, cold. Voiceovers, out, including April, just perfect. The voiceovers were just, they were perfect. I would not have changed one thing about the voiceovers. From Michelangelo to Donatello to Leonardo, they captured to Splinter. They captured it, yo. They captured it. Just fantastic story writing, the old school references, entertainment. And then the other part of the animation is that it gave a very good feel, like the way they did the camera movement with the animation, of speed. Of like when, oh, this is a fight where you got to be quick. It felt like you saw like the ninja like reflexes or whatever. And then they had like funny parts in it too with that. The music, outstanding. They had ODB in there. I guess I do have a little bit of spoilers, very minimum spoilers. Shimmy, shimmy, ya, shimmy, yay in there. And I'm in the movie theater like just vibing with it. And I would say go early if you can, because the lead up to it, you could tell from the lead up to it, they did justice. Let's just say that before the movie even starts. I don't know if I can't praise it enough as far as all that stuff I just said there. I'm just, man, kudos to them for that. I want to feel like playing it. So they had all kinds of old school stuff in there. My wife was in there vibing to it. And then when they dropped this, I was like, ooh, oh baby, I like it raw. I was like, okay, we gonna do this. And on top of doing a great job with the story and the storytelling and all that, on top of all that is where I was like, okay, because you can drop the music in there and then it doesn't mean anything if you don't do it right. No, they did it justice. And after we got back from the movie, we got home and we were watching old cartoons with the kids to say, hey, yeah, that's, it's part of the reason Mom and I like it so much. The kids loved the movie too, but they didn't get all the old references. The one thing is Super Mario Brothers probably had some more generic references for kids that, like they had a lot of recent pop, and my kids are 4 and 6. They didn't get all the BTS and all that other type of references in there. They had a lot of just regular funny stuff in there too. And I like what they did with the story part of it, where this is a minor spoiler, or maybe a mid spoiler alert. I'll just say in general what they did with the turtles trying to bond with the other side. I don't know if I ever saw that in the, at least I don't remember it from the old episodes. That was a new twist that really worked well. I was like, wow, that's how you take something old and make it new and dope. And it was very different than the old way that they handled the enemy side versus the turtles. And then the other part of it was the the age. So you can see why, and I could tell getting closer to the movie because I hadn't read much about it. But when I've talked about my concerns with April, I saw before I even saw the movie that it was they were going to do the show as they were teenagers. So that's why April was a girl, not a woman. So that part was explained there. I give them a lot of credit for putting that together. Now, I will say, so the reason why I have to hesitate to recommend it is because there is still that elephant of the room in the room was still there. And the elephant in the room was April. So it did not ruin the movie for me, but it was an over underlying theme that never went away through the whole movie. And I will say that April's character look at just the look of April's character, as far as like how it was drawn, was actually dope. So because I didn't, the pictures didn't do the animation justice at all. Like what at least from what I didn't see much, but it didn't do it when in the theaters, the lighting, everything. The character of April was drawn well, and so I think that is somewhat of a mea culpa because when we were looking at it, and I did go ahead and my issues still are there, but let me see if I can show kind of like my take there. I don't know if I can find that real quick. Where did I put that? The animation. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I don't even know. I didn't. Did I copy? I don't even think I copied that. So I can't find. It's hard sometimes multitasking while you're on the live. But they were showing the different iterations of what the artist, I believe it's the artist, drew of April, and some of them look terrible. But when you looked at the final one, the just the look of the character, say the character wasn't called April, just another character, it was done very well. And in the storyline, I'm not going to spoil, maybe we'll talk about it down the road. The look, the frumpy look of the April character fit the story. So at least the overweight part, the youth part, the frumpy part fit the story. The question still remains why the character was reimagined to have dark skin. Whether you care about that or not, I do care because it's tough when you're watching the movie. You can't get away. Like, I know what you know. I know that I know what you're doing, why you won't answer the questions because it's queer theory. But that was the only, unless there could have been like subtle things I didn't catch, but that's the only overt thing that I caught was the skin swap. Whether you think April, the original April was black or white or whatever, I don't care to argue that. The skin color was darker. There was no need to do that. Or what's your inspiration? The question always was, what's your inspiration for doing that? I haven't seen an answer. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe that has been answered. I don't know. But the look of it made, the overweight of it actually made sense with the story. And it was, the writing of the new April was good. The writing of the new April was better than the old April. But the writing of the new April, I'll say this, the new April could have been white, redhead, and overweight. And this movie, I would have rated this movie 100 out of 100. I would maybe take a little bit away because they had a little cliche with the villain at the end, but take away like 1%, make it a 99 or 98. If April were white, a white redhead, frumpy, overweight, don't make her non-binary looking. So if she was a white, more feminine looking redhead, so it was like homage to the old April, but we made her different because it fit with the story. It would have I would have rated this movie 100 out of 100. With the frumpy April, it's still easily a 90 for me. It was hand drawn, so people know. Thank you, Ray. It paid off. It was hand, like actual hand drawing. They went old school. See, I've been saying that. Why don't they do more hand drawing? Even if you do a hand drawing and then use some, because you could tell they did something computerized with some of the scenes. Oh, it's just, I even said they had previews to like Blue Beetle and the Marvels, I think the Marvel movies, Marvel and DC movies, and they were terrible. The previews are terrible. Those movies are awful. I'm sorry. I'm out on all of the Marvel movies. There's no, I bring them up because I told my wife she wasn't interested in the Marvel movies either. She was like, "Are you somewhat of a comic book person? Are you interested?" I'm like, "Not even a little bit." And those movies would be more interesting if they did them in the style of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, make them just a cartoon animation. The stuff with the Marvel stuff, it just looks too corny. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. It looks too contrived. The explosions, the superpowers, even though the special effects are so much better than the original Superman. It looks corny. It looks ridiculous. I can't put my hand on it. It looks soulless. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, soul. The movie had soul. Reminds you of the charm of movies from back in the day. Same charm from the original, the live action one with Vanilla Ice in a different way. But those Marvel movies don't have any charm in them. They look like corporate productions that help get the actors, writers, and everybody paid. You put in some explosions, you put in no work into the storyline, and then you're supposed to like it because why? I am completely turned off. And I told my wife, she was like, "I don't believe you," but I was like, I think those things are gonna die away. Unless they change that, unless they fix what they're doing wrong with them, those things don't have a lifespan. They're very expensive to put together. The product that you get out of them is really terrible. It would be like spending millions of dollars on a house and you go in it, you're like, "I don't even like this house." That's what those movies feel like. You can tell they put a lot of money into it, and it's like, it has no soul. It's like, you got a lot of fancy things here, but I don't even like these fancy things. Why don't you trim down and focus on character, story building? That's what you get from Isom is slower. You at times you get some character development, build things up, have like deeper thoughts and more kind of side missions and stories that people care about a little bit, more intrigue and less identitarianism. And it, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles showed you how to do it. Steve Johnson says, "So you didn't feel like they were trying to bribe you with the 90s music? Sometimes it feels like they up the music in the movie to make up for a weak plot progression." Nope, not in this one. Zero. 0%. I would. I think you guys know I would be railing against the movie if I thought that's what they were doing. Nope, that's not what they were doing at all. You see, what it was, they did it on purpose because they knew parents took their kids out to it. And I saw a lot of adults in the theater. It wasn't a full theater, but more than I've seen in a couple other movies I've been to, wearing the classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirts. And no matter what race or whatever you were, these are songs most people heard of. But no, this was not this was not to try to cover up for a poor writing or any plot progression. Nope. Plot progression was excellent, perfect. The movie didn't last too long, and it had that classic, "Oop, is the movie over?" And it's not over, they're going to extend it longer. But it actually worked because it helped develop the characters. And the end of the movie, believe it or not, set in the scene, like set in New York, actually had a great message of, we've got to work together to get this done in a great way that wasn't corny, that I thought was like, felt good. So I have zero thought that they did the music as a way to nostalgia bait and the music fit the parts too. You could tell that the people that chose the music put their love into it. You could feel it. You didn't even have to ask or question about it. I had zero. It's Ginger Side. Yep. But they still made her redhead. That's funny how they did that with, I think she was red, her dreads or whatever she had for her hair were red. Just like they did with Ariel. Like a homage to, we know that we flipped her skin or whatever. So, for those who argue that the original was black, are you arguing that the original was black with red hair? I don't know. But Ray says, "I have doubts that this April was better written than the original." Oh, I have no doubts. It's way better written. Not even close. Not even, I actually went back and watched some of the old episodes. Way better written. It's a better character. The new is as far as like the writing. I just wish they would have just called her Julie and just said we're not, and don't make her look like April because they had like the coat and it had to be bigger because she's pretty big. She's not like Lizzo, but she's big. And I just wish they would have just not had it been April. Just don't write April in because it's so different than the original April, in my opinion, which was fine. She was more modern, and so just call her. I don't care. Call her something else. I don't know, and then I would have been fine with that. Don't have her look. Don't have her wear a jacket like April or anything like that. Just make her a new character. I would have had no problem, because it's a big problem. Because why do you need to take something and change it into that? You don't explain that because there's no other explanation other than queer theory. And April was a love interest of Casey Jones, so there's that looking at April as beauty. So I don't have any problem looking at this version of April as beautiful. The problem I have is taking something and changing it into this. Just say we made a whole new character. We don't have April in this one. That would have been fine. And I said, oh, did I almost say Karen? No, she wasn't Karen. Make her April's cousin, or I agree. Make it, you could have done that. You could have been like, I don't know, you could have had April, and people might have still complained, but I wouldn't have if they would have had, here's April, young, because they were teenagers. Here's young April, like a flat, because I think they had a flashback to some characters that didn't have a big role. I'm not going to spoil that, but say you have a little cameo of a young April wearing the jacket, and that would have been like, oh, that's dope. And then being like, this is my friend. This is my friend, Waukesha, or whatever. I don't know what you want to call her. And this version didn't look anything like the old April, and then they took it on like that. That would have been so respectful. That the movie was done so respectfully in every single realm that the dark skin swap of April was conscious disrespect. That's a great point, Steve. You could have, that's what, if I had your idea, then I would have went to them and said, let's do this. I'm fine with this April, or not, call her something else. Have April be like, have a little cameo, and then have her say, oh, that's my friend April, but I'm Julie. I would have had no problem with that, because then you would have had a cameo like, oh, shoot, that's the old April. Maybe you could bring April back in a future one. And, or you could have had, I would have actually preferred over even, I would have liked that. But even over that, you could have had this April be young, redhead, feminine, but overweight. And in future ones, you could see as a woman, she lost weight or something like that, like character development. That would have been my preference. Just keep her the same and do that, because everything else was an homage to the original. But hopefully that articulates me tweaking my take a little bit on it. Yeah, you have black. You can do cousins. I didn't mean to say you couldn't do black cousin. You could have done. Yeah, you could have just said, "Here's my cousin." Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, I agree. Ray says April's meant to be sexy and beautiful, even though the original show was meant for kids, but the latter seasons were meant for teenage boys. Yeah, I agree. But so I just, maybe he did this comment before I said it, but you could have made April young, but here's the thing: you could still say she was plump and beautiful to whoever in the story. I have no problem with that. So I think I have no problem with saying that you can be beautiful, plump, and all that. And I've talked about my weight stuff and trying to get that right. Ray and we've been talked about that in the past too. So I don't want I don't want my kids, if hopefully they're not bigger, I want them to be healthy. But even if you are, you got to have that confidence. So I don't have a problem with saying that people still thought April was sexy. I like thicker women anyway, but not that thick. But have her being a teenager and the other teenagers like her, even though she's more plump. And then in other ones, she kind of changes and it's all good either way. So I don't really have a problem with that part of it, especially if it's they made it a part of the story. So they explained the overweight part, even though the original show was meant for kids. Yeah. But this was a teenage, so I actually didn't have a problem with that. I just don't understand the skin color part. It's almost like they had to do something overtly to the woke temple. It was the elephant in the room throughout the whole movie. Driving that train, high on cocaine, Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. So I'm not gonna spoil anything about Casey Jones or any particular characters, if they were what they did, if they were in it or not. But yeah, Ray says he wants it more authentic, so it wouldn't work for him. But yeah, I fully see that. I don't think he likes the cousin idea, or because it's like, why do that? Because if you do the cousin idea, why do you really need to do, you could still ask the same question. Why didn't you just have April in it? I agree. I don't feel you. I think the best one would have been the overweight young April. That would have been great. That would have been perfect. But Ice Cube was so good. He was so good. I love how they showed the bad guys. Because I talk to my kids a lot about bad and good is all relative. I'm gonna probably take a break, maybe come back and do live after this. I'll end on this. I like good and bad is all relative, and they touch on that. I love the interaction between the good guys and the bad guys, who are supposed to be the bad guys in the movie. Done very well.